And good day. Thank you for joining us for the Viking Coaches Show here from Big Mike's Coffee Shop here on a beautiful Friday morning here with head coach Allison Phillips of the Avery Varsity Girls Basketball Program. And Coach, have a special guest with you here this morning.
Yeah, this is my son Trip. He's our water boy. And basically, we were literally just watching a video of him in the locker room when he was about 6 months old. So
oh, wow.
He has literally been here his whole life.
He's been with the program since day one.
Since day one,
Yep. He was on the sidelines before the players were on the sidelines, right?
Sure.
They're with you, yeah, absolutely, for sure. That's called being attached to the program, folks, right there. That's a connection to the program. But no, Trip, we're thrilled to have you with us here this morning. Appreciate you being here. Again, this broadcast was brought to you by Big Mike's Coffee Shop here, of course, here on Pinola Street in Newland. We appreciate Mike and Jackie Nelson and their sponsorship and their support of Viking athletics and football season as well as basketball season as well. We appreciate them, and we thank Kenny Johnson, the Red Light Man, about staging and entertainment. And Kenny does everything. He's just such a benefit and such an asset to the Avery athletics programs, football, coaching, basketball, youth basketball, supporting our teams. And as I said before, yes, he has children who are involved with athletics, but he's done so much to work with so many different teams and kids over the years. And we appreciate Kenny's support and passion for athletics and for our high school athletics, and appreciate his support of these Viking programs. Coach, I know since the last time we talked, you still haven't had a game in. I know it's been a tough couple of weeks here now. It's going to be at least 15 days, and of course the game today not being played with Polk, so that's going to add up again. Hopefully another game coming up, but now just to kind of recap the schedule, you'll have a game Monday at Mountain Heritage, Tuesday at Mitchell, Friday at home for senior night against Hendersonville, and then the following Monday, the 16th, at Polk to close the regular season.
Yeah.
How does it feel? First of all, how are your players right now? As far as how are y'all coping with this? How much practice you're all able to get? Just kind of give us a little bit of a temperature of the team right now.
Well, we've got 2 full days of practice in this week, which were really nice. And I will say I really give three full days of practice this week. So we got 3 days in this week, 2 last week. I give credit to my girls. They've done a really good job. Monday when we couldn't get out and couldn't have practice, a lot of them were playing pickup at the Rock Gym. They're going to the Y, and I'm so thankful that those facilities, are open and are welcoming to our kids and are allowing them to get shots up. It's a really great blessing for us to have them and our kids to have memberships there, or have the opportunity to just go play pickup. That's why I told my girls, I said, if we can't practice, you got to go do something. If it's safe for you to get out and your parents are cool with driving you. I think Anna drove Caroline and them to the Rock Gym, and they just play pickup, and that's something that is it's better than sitting at home. And so couple great days of practice. I feel like yesterday was a really strong day for us again. Getting to get a lot of shooting in, which is a blessing, it really is. But at the end of the day, as much as we can scrimmage and things like that, we're not getting to play a regular game is hard. So we should be very well rested at this point.
True.
And I feel like we've, got to kind of spend some practice time working on some just like fundamental things, finishing at the rim. We've spent a lot of time on that, making sure everybody's dialed in shooting wise and all that. So it's been good, really. You got to look at the positives of it more than the negatives. So.
Of course, you were hoping to be able to play Polk County today, and I know just conversations also I've had previously, of course, with Coach Gage for the show that we recorded. He kind of mentioned it would have been nice to have been able to kind of ease in with a game against Polk before jumping into play Mountain Heritage coming up Monday. Of course, now with the changes, you're not going to have that flexibility. Now you're going to be jumping right back on the floor against a pretty talented Mountain Heritage team that was a really tough battle for most of the way in the game up here at Avery. Disadvantages to that? I mean, just jumping into having to play them again on a Monday night, or what concerns might you have about going in?
Yeah, I mean, Heritage got to play Mitchell last night, so that was a fairly close game for a little while, and then Heritage pulled away. They played Polk same way. We watched it. Nice to watch it on NFHS, but it's pretty close right up until about 3-4 minutes, and then Heritage again pulled away and ended up winning big. But it was a 3-point game with like 4 minutes left. So. I feel like that definitely gives them an advantage. I mean, we've not played in 2 weeks, and they've got at least 2 or 3 games in. So, it's frustrating. I know it's frustrating for our players. because they all went to the Heritage Mitchell game last night, you know, and they just want to play, like, you know, and it's hard as a coach to balance, like, understanding their frustration and trying not to feed into that, you know, because I know we can't control it, and I know everybody's trying to keep us safe, and I appreciate that. And, you know, it's not anyone's fault that we're in the situation we're in. It's just it's very frustrating as a player, and it's frustrating as a coach to have such a talented team and feel like you can't get back on the court.
Yeah, just the weather just in this area, it's so difficult. And I know with you guys, just like I just talking with Coach Gage about this, you look ahead, you still have a third of your conference season to play.
Yeah, and it's a big third. You know, it's like the biggest 4 games we have, you know, and not that Madison and Owen weren't important games. They certainly were, but these are the most competitive games that we're going to have. You know, and to feel like you're playing your best basketball, you need to be playing basketball.
Right.
And right now, you know, our practices have been very competitive. They've been very chippy. We're so blessed to have the depth we do, because I feel like that really helps practice be uber competitive. Now, we've ended practice a couple times in the past 2 weeks with bloody noses and some bumps and bruises and things like that, because it is getting chippy. You know, they want to compete, and these girls are competitors and they need to play. So we'll sit this weekend and you know, stay ready. I'm sure somewhere in the county right now they're in a gym somewhere. You know, they're shooting, they're working out, they're trying to stay ready, and you can't fault them for that. They're trying so hard to stay locked in, and that's a huge testament to them and how much they want to win a conference championship.
I can't imagine their desire wanting to sitting last night at a gym watching these other 2 schools competing and just knowing, okay, we're going to have to play both these teams again, and I'm just ready to get on the floor, ready to compete. And
I mean, honestly, I think we would have played Polk in a parking lot today if we could have, you know. And it's frustrating.
And it's, you know, again, it's difficult. And then you have your JV girls. I mean, good mercy,
they've not played in a month and a half.
Yeah, I haven't played in so long, and are you guys keeping them integrated as well in what y'all are doing with the practice plans? How is that kind of working out?
You know, and for a lot of our JV guys, you know, they don't drive, you know, and their parents work, and it's hard to get them to practice. You know, we're given pretty small windows, and we're blessed with those windows of practice opportunity, but they're optional, you know, and you can't hold anything against anybody, and we never would, because safety is the most important thing. But it's hard. It's hard to get kids in a gym, especially when they can't drive, because, you know, mom and dad have to still go to work, and, you know, that's something we have to remember. Like, our kids' parents have to go to work, and it's a hardship if they don't have grandparents or somebody that can bring them, because they can't drive themselves. So, you know, I really think it is a very big disadvantage for our JV girls having to go in there, not playing in almost a month. But, you know, we'll play whenever we're given the opportunity to play, and that's all you can do.
Yeah, I mean, think about baseball season. You know, those games, if anything like this, they just get a little rain and they're canceled. You know, that's just seasons up here in the mountains are tough. It's just so difficult to be able to get games in, even though you aren't playing outside. I mean, I know you'd love to play in a parking lot. That'd be fun,
wherever right
you know.
now.
But I know it's just a tough thing. So we do. I appreciate the patience of folks to continue to stay with the team and continue to follow.
I appreciate Coach Welburn and Miss O'Brien. I mean, they've done a really great job of trying to get us in the gym any opportunity they can. But ultimately, you know, we have to make sure everybody's safe, and I get that.
For sure.
It's hard. It's hard to balance the desire to play and compete with understanding that it just kind of is what it is.
It makes it tough. It does. And I know you continue to do everything you can to keep iron sharpening iron in that sense, and having everybody working.
We've had 3 different scouts in a week. You know, we thought we were going to play. You know, we thought we were going to play Hendersonville. Then we switched to Polk, and then we switched to Heritage. And we originally started with Heritage, so now we're back to Heritage. We feel like we have a good scout on them. We feel like we're prepared. We went over. You know, it's given us time to go back over all those opponents.
Sure.
Because we know they're going to come super quickly.
Right.
So we're as ready as we can be, honestly, and I think we're just chomping at the bit to play.
The multitasking is huge. Especially at this time of year. I want to take a few moments, because we haven't had a game. I'd like for you to talk a little bit about your seniors. I know if everything works out well on Friday, it's going to be senior night with Hendersonville. I just wanted if you would just talk a little bit about the seniors you have on this roster and just what they've meant to you as a coach and what they've meant to this school and the program.
Yeah. Well, Tripp probably can speak to this as good as anybody, because he knows them very well. But, we'll start with Yanni because she's our newest senior. Coming to us from South Carolina, it's been a huge blessing to have her. I'm thankful she's got to spend the second half of her senior season with us, and we're super excited to see how she kind of plays down the stretch now that she's really comfortable with her offense and everything like that. So Yanni's a really good person. She's a good kid, and I think she's meshed really well in our system. So I'm excited about her. We'll start with Kesley. Kesley Craigie is probably one of the funniest human beings on the planet. It's very true, isn't it? Kesley's awesome. We love Kesley. She always brings an intensity to practice that is just so special, and it never changes. She's so consistent. She's always the first to crack a joke and kind of keep things light, but she's a competitor, and she's a great shooter. We call her the dagger most of the time because if you're in a zone, Kesley can shoot you out of a zone very easily, and she can get streaky and hot really fast. So we love to see her kind of go on a shooting ramp. She used to be the post player of their team. So if you look at pictures when they were little, she was the tallest one on the team. So she's got some hidden post skills that we tease her about from time to time, but just a great human being. And then Kylie Holzclaw might be the toughest kid I've ever had on my team. And Kylie is definitely the best teammate I've ever had and had the opportunity to coach. Kylie is the person who is more willing to do anything for a team than she is herself. I mean, she literally puts the team before herself every single day. For the past couple years, she has led our scout team. She's been Callie Cap, she's been Bailey Staten. She gets to, she gets to mimic everybody else's point guard in practice, and it's such a cool thing because she can, she just kind of embraces that, and she has a really quiet confidence that people don't realize. She's an amazing defensive player. She's a good shooter, and we honestly fuss at her for not shooting enough. But she's just she's a great passer. She's really worked hard in the weight room this year. So it's awesome to see just how talented she is and what she brings to the table. And she stepped in and played some big defensive moments for us here recently. Anytime Addison or Hallie gets in foul trouble, Kylie's that person.
Plug her in, sure.
And she's so willing to do that. She's never been once selfish about her role or her responsibilities, and she's just a great human being. Emma is a bull in a china shop. She always plays so hard. What did you say about Emma?
That's true.
That's true. Emma's a bull in a china shop. Yeah. Emma's the first to love on Trip and hug on him and give him a hard time, but she's also the first to, play so hard, and she's always working super hard, and we just really appreciate everything she brings defensively for us. And she's a good shooter too. She doesn't take a whole lot of shots, and every now and then she takes some wild ones, but really and truly, Emma's a great basketball player. She's just been plagued by injury. But it's kind of how she plays, and it's just kind of what we, it's like Lindsey Vaughn, she's got like 6 different ACLs, but Emma still keeps
keeping
coming,
on, right?
And she could have very easily quit a long time ago because of those injuries, and she hasn't. And that's a testament to who she is as a person. And how she was raised. And then, Addison, shout out Addison, it's her birthday today. So happy birthday, Addison.
Happy birthday, yes.
She turned 18 today. Wish we could get a win for her birthday, but we'll worry about that on Monday.
There we go.
Just a great basketball mind. She's probably the smartest kid I've ever coached. She sees the game. She's able to pass so beautifully on JV, and that's the first really thing we noticed about her. She's small and she's kind of undersized, but honestly, she's a dagger passer. She just has such a beautiful talent for finding people. I tell everybody, if they'll just let her, she'll pass them open. If you'll follow the ball, if Addison's giving it to you, you'll find yourself really open because she sees the court so well. Such a compliment to Hallie. They make such a dynamic 1-2. No selfishness there whatsoever. Always willing to guard the team's hardest player. Always willing to take that. She doesn't ever shy away from that. She has a very quiet confidence. And that speaks to who she is. She's just very willing to do whatever we need her to do. And she's been willing to do that since she was a freshman. I remember fifth quartering her, and against Watauga, we couldn't get the ball up the court her freshman year. And it was when Hallie was still hurt. And I remember looking at her, and I was like, can you get the ball up the court? Can anybody get the ball up the court, against their pressure? And she was like, I will. And, man, she went right in, and she did, and it was hard for her to see over their zone and things like that. And, she was a freshman. She was coming out of middle school. But, man, she just such a quiet confidence in the amount of basketball she's played and what she's willing to do. So it's just a super talented kid there. Fought through so many injuries, like years and years of super pain in her feet and her knees, and we don't understand how much she's fought through that she's not said anything about, and just the toughness there that's really impressive. And then Hallie is just, man, she's the heart and soul of everything that you would ever want in a player to coach. Like, she's everybody's biggest cheerleader. She's the first kid in the gym. I know somewhere she's in a rock gym today, probably getting up shots
somewhere.
with Kenny. And she just loves basketball. And that love for the game has just renewed me as a coach in so many ways. And, her love for people is what's so contagious about Hallie. She truly loves her teammates. And whether they need her to hit a game winner or they need her to just be steady, she's such a consistent human being. She always shows up the same way. I could say, Hallie, we're going to run 46 miles today from here to Asheville. And she'd say, okay, coach, whatever you need me to do. Never complains, always the first person there. If we have anything optional, she's the first person gathering everybody together. We had a practice change earlier this week, and it was changing our practice time earlier to get it in before the weather.
Right.
And Hallie's calling people's parents, waking them up out of bed, saying, hey, we have practice. And she just, that's who she is. She is truly the leader of them. And she needs to be more vocal, and I fuss at her from time to time to be more vocal and to shoot more and all the things. But she truly is just she's a super impressive human and a true talent. And, I'm going to be devastated when they're gone in so many ways, but they have given everything to this program, and we are who we are because of them, and we will be who we are becoming after they're gone because of their legacy, and they really have done a great job, and they're what we want to stand for, and they all represent that very well.
Is it easy for you to take time to appreciate them as this is happening? I mean,
it kind of hit me the other day when I was ordering senior night stuff, and I try not to. I know it's not our last home game because hopefully we'll have a playoff game and things like that, and I try not to feed too much into that because I know I don't need to be emotional. I need them to play with emotion, but not be emotional.
Right.
We talk about that a lot.
Right.
But really and truly, it's hard to think about it in, and so I'm really trying not to do that at this point. I know that the girls behind them love them so much, and I remember loving my seniors so much my junior year and being a part of a really special team and really feeling kind of lost when they left because I'd always played with them.
Yeah.
When Kim Gregg and Laura Lacey walked off the court, it was really hard for me. And Tasha and Andrea and Katie Peters and Joy and all those people who I'd played with for so long, it was really weird for me to flip the switch and say, okay, I'm the senior now, and I know that that'll be hard for Caroline and Addison and Marley and Tilly and Callie and Molly and all those girls, but I think that they have learned so much from these seniors and taken so much from them that they can then put that back into our JV girls, and that's what it's all about. It's a program for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, you have that turnover. It's not like no, it's getting closer to the pros where not paying players yet, but not quite to that point necessarily. But yeah, you have contracts where players are there for certain 10 years or whatever. But you don't have that in high school. You have what you have, and it's again the kids you have in your district. It's not like you're out recruiting, so to speak.
Can't do that, but honestly, for us, the biggest thing and the coolest thing is I really feel like when this group leaves, they will have left their mark, hopefully with a banner, but they will have also impacted our community in such a positive way. They'll forever be remembered because they're fun to watch, and they play with such passion and heart, and they play together as a team, and that's a huge testament to them and their families. For pumping that into them.
Well, we have Tripp here, so we need to ask a question of you since you're here. We'd like to talk to you and ask you, out of the players, all the coaches, your mom's players, who's the one you like to watch play the most? Who do you like to watch play?
This is kind of hard because they basically all play as hard as they can sometimes.
Yep.
And all that stuff. I'd probably have to say Hallie Johnson.
You like watching Hallie? That's fun. It's fun to watch, huh? Just always going at it, right? Always up full speed down the floor, everywhere, right?
What do I tell you a lot that you need to do like Hallie does? You need to learn how to what? Yeah. We talk a lot. When Hallie tore her ACL and Tripp would come to practice, Hallie would put on Ninja Turtle masks and play with Trip, and we found a lot of pre-wrap with holes cut in it, you know, because they had made Ninja Turtle masks and things like that.
Okay.
So Hallie and Trip are pretty close. Trip's pretty close with all of them, honestly.
Right.
But we talk about, you know, learning how to dribble is a big part of playing basketball, and he's
Yes,
starting
it
to play
is.
basketball right now for the rec league, and he's getting coached by me, so that'll be entertaining as we transition our thoughts to second, third grade boys. Which
Right,
is fun.
right.
So yeah, he's got a little bit of Hallie in him. He likes to dribble, but we're teaching him to be a post player. So
There you go.
You know,
There you
working
go.
on those skills right now.
Might be taller than your dad. You might get there. I mean, Dad, you know, he's you know,
Mom says when I'm supposed to stop growing, I'm supposed to be 6.
Maybe 6'1", 6'2".
okay. All right.
See.
Play a little post, do a little bit of guard play as well. There you go. Go ahead and get him coached up for Coach Gage coming up.
Yep.
There we go. Absolutely. Well, Coach, I tell you, we appreciate the time talking. I know when we don't have games, it's tough to break down different contests. I know we've got Mountain Heritage coming up, Mitchell coming up, Hendersonville coming up.
We'll have a lot to
and
talk about next week.
Yeah, next week should be a lot, weather
Yep.
permitting, and then turning right around for the conference tournament. And I know it's got to be stressful. I know you mentioned just the frustrations, but just the stress of knowing that usually the state won't change their dates per se unless
Yeah.
you have weather that's caused statewide.
Well, honestly, I think right now the conference tournament's projected to be like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So, you know,
Right.
as hard as it is to think about all these games happening at once, I do think that our depth is going to show, and I think that that's something that could give us a major advantage if everybody's got to play back-to-back nights.
Yeah, that's-
because we certainly have the depth to be fresher than other people. So
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an absolute flurry to get through this month. I mean,
Yep.
it's just to get through the rest of the regular season and into the postseason. And again, just wish the best for your girls. Hope everything continues to go well. I mean, health-wise, everybody's getting something. I know that Coach Gage said, "Hey, with all this time off, our players are getting healthy."
Yeah,
that's for
they better
sure.
be healthy.
You know, they ought to be healthier now. So that's always good. I know, of course. I know Emma banged up at one point earlier in the season, and anything you have that's bumps and bruises, I guess, are continuing to do all right there as well. Because I appreciate the time as always.
Yeah.
And Tripp, appreciate you being with us today. That is a
Thank you.
great treat. Appreciate
Yeah.
you being here.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next week with our coaches show. Not sure on what the date is yet because we don't know what the games are going to be for sure as far as weather, and we'll fit it in. You'll see us when you see us. But we appreciate Big Mike's Coffee Shop here on Pinola Street in Newland and their sponsorship and their support of Viking athletics. We appreciate again Kenny Johnson and Johnson Staging and Entertainment Group and his work with putting the lights in for the girls pregame, getting that done, and just all the support that he's provided over the course of not just this year, but throughout the years, not just at the high school level, but with youth athletics as well. We appreciate Kenny and everything that he pours into that as well. Again, I'm Jamie Shell, the Avery Journal-Times. Thank you for watching, and hope we'll see you again next week. Until then, so long for now.